Do you feel Canada's banking system is secure?
I think it's secure because if you compare Canada to the US, there are more regulations in Canada compared to the US. And there are less predatory lenders in Canada than the US. So I believe it's more secure. In terms of CIDs, in terms of the loans that are guaranteed by insurance, we also have better regulations in Canada than the US. But there's concern for us to be worried because most of the things that happen in the US, we actually feel those things down here. So we can be worried, but right now I believe the system is secure, yes.
Our banks are automatically all controlled by the Bank of Canada. And the Bank of Canada sets the rules, and if you don't follow them, that's your problem. Yeah. In the States, they have a much more relaxed way of doing things, and people make mistakes or people get dishonest, and stuff happens.
100%. I do. Why? Because we only have a few of them, and they have pretty much the monopoly on it compared to the States, which has hundreds, if not thousands, I think, hundreds of them. And there's really little they're quite regulated, so I'm feeling pretty safe about it.
They're a lot more steady, a lot more solid, and they actually hold to their ratios really well. You need this much on hand, then you have that much on hand.
I generally think it's pretty secure. I know that we had a scare in the past where, because we still rely on technology nowadays, that when I think the tap system was down, so not a lot of people could really access anything because they didn't have cash on them anymore because the society relied on a lot of technology. Generally, I think anything with technology, there is a risk that it can not be secure, but I think in general, there's a lot of secure things about our banking system.
I am. I'm with Royal Bank and Scotiabank, so I think I've diversified a little bit, but I really hope that nothing happens to Canada like it did for the States, because it's very sad and I'm sure very frightening for a lot of folks. So yeah, again, I'm very cautious, cautiously optimistic, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Canada has always bounced back. They're very strong and we're very independent. So we don't rely on the Americans. We rely on ourselves, and Canadians have always been hard workers, and we've always kept a strong bank. Sometimes, of course, we fluctuate, but I absolutely believe in our banking system and the Canadians' ability to bounce back. Look how well we did after the pandemic. We were able to come back fully with jobs and money, and I really have confidence in our banks.
I'm confident in the banking system. I've not followed that subject that well. But I'm trying to follow because, well, one of my concerns, it is retirement. So I'm just trying to keep the pace and just be on top of the news, but I'm not sure what to tell you.
You know what? I'm not too worried about Canada because Canada, we're well regulated. In the States, it's different. And there's lots of manipulations and distortion. In Canada, I think we're doing okay. It's been well regulated and there's not too many banks.
However, it's good to be mindful of what's going on and in the news with what's happening, because you got to be prepared, and if you're not, you'll get screwed over.
It's not easy to get a loan or a mortgage, so you get frustrated when it's yourself, but when you're dealing with, the banks have to be careful and watch their security and just have to go through it. You have to jump through hoops, but perhaps that's not a bad thing.
I think we can only have it as secure as the people that run it. And based on the fact that we have governments who can seize our bank accounts, no, I don't feel it's secure at all.
I worry when there's worldwide issues that we can be caught up in them. I cannot believe that we're dealing with another banking crisis that has precipitated from banking laws in the US that were put in after the mess we got into in 2008. But I think if anybody's going to stand, it's our Canadian banks.
As a Canadian, it seems like after this trucker incident in Ottawa, where the government has the ability to seize people's assets just because they have a political opinion that's different from the governing, party, that they could have their bank account suspended. That's outrageous. Absolutely outrageous.
It's as secure as any other banking system. We've seen some banks fail in US. There's some banks fail in Switzerland, which Switzerland is known for the solid banking system. I know there's some concerns German banks, the Deutsche Bank, that the biggest bank in Europe, is having some issues. So if they're having issues, I don't think Canada is as secure as maybe some people tell us it is.
Actually, I don't. I think that Canada has printed a lot of money in the past 3 years that we don't have. We have a debt that has been sold, so therefore it could be called any given time. And the fact that Bank of Canada is already in a trillions of dollars in the red, I think it doesn't make this country very secure.
I know a little bit about the Canada banking system, and certainly because we have the big banks and because we have a lot more regulations, I think the Canadian system is secure. I am a little bit concerned about a couple of the banks that invested fairly significantly in the United States and into the system, and there's certainly going to be some pain there. But in terms of, is it secure for Canadians? Yes, it is.